I have a Constellar. I have a TELLARKNIGHT. CONSTELLARKNIGHT. I have a 4-star. I have a 4-star. FTK. Wait, no. Good afternoon, jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Battles of Legend Glorious Gallery has released directly into my bulk. Rest assured we're going to get to all three of these archetypes, but we're going to begin with the one that had an incredible showing this last weekend in Europe. Presenting CONSTELLAR FTK.
We are the Knights!
So here's the list. Giorgio Ferreira's top 16 brew from UK Nationals. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. With that, let's take a look at TELLARKNIGHT. TELLARKNIGHT and its associated archetype CONSTELLAR are rank 4 superstars most memorable for their presence in one of Yu-Gi-Oh's hinge point formats, Duelist Alliance. They represented one of the last of the old archetypes, decks that aim to build advantage slowly before eventually landing a killing blow. And over the course of the format, they were chased out by a new style of deck with all their strengths, but near infinite recoverability and OTK potential from the jump. A few times since, Konami's thrown TELLARKNIGHT a bone, but mostly they're perennially played as a singleton rank 5 or 6 in decks that need them. However, there is one tool in Tellar that no one else has, Tolmaeus. TELLARKNIGHT Tolmaeus is a monster who can be made with at least 2 level 4 monsters and can tag into a higher one. Less frequently activated, however, is its second effect, a turn skip if he's got 7 materials. But what are the chances of that happening? Well, surprising no one, the new cards in Glorious Gallery facilitate exactly that, breathing new life into a deck that time forgot by making it what else but an FTK. Regrettably, this FTK seems extremely effective. It took 2 slots at the top 16 at UK Nats, so if nothing else, you're going to have to know how it works. With that, let's get into the card by card. We're going to begin with the new ones. 3 copies of CONSTELLAR Caster, which if summoned can special summon a CONSTELLAR from your deck except Caster, and you are locked into lights and darks for the rest of the turn. A CONSTELLAR Xyz monster that has this card as material gains the effect that once per turn when your opponent activates a spell card or effect, you can detach 2 materials from a monster you control, and if you do, negate the effect and destroy the card. 3 copies of TELLARKNIGHT Singian, who is also treated as a CONSTELLAR, and if summoned can add a TELLARKNIGHT or a CONSTELLAR from your deck to your hand, and can target a light monster you control, increase both its level and this card's by 1. It can be treated as 2 material for the Xyz summon of a TELLARKNIGHT that requires 3 or more materials. We are playing some old ones as well. TELLARKNIGHT Lyran, 1 Anukalai, 1 Altair, 1 Altarian, 1 Caduceus, and then some odds and ends. 3 Dodododo Warrior, 1 Onomatakage, and a Saki Tama as just a generic 4 extender. After that, we've got 3 copies of Stellar Nova Bonds, which can activate one of these effects. Also, you are locked into Xyz for the remainder of the turn, discard a card, and if you do, special summon a TELLARKNIGHT or a CONSTELLAR from your deck with a different type than monsters you control, or target face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of TELLARKNIGHT and CONSTELLAR monsters you control, negate their effects until the end of this turn. One more in a new series of cards that has applications that are different, going both first and second. 2 copies of TELLARKNIGHT Skybridge, 2 copies of CONSTELLAR TELLARKNIGHTs, and 2 copies of 7th Tachyon. For non-engine, we are on 3 Fulos, 3 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 2 Forbidden Crown, 2 Pear Bear Scare, it's showing up, and 1 Called by the Grave in the extra. We've got the F-Zeros for UDF, we've got Tolmaeus himself, Exciton Knight, Gaga Gaga Magician, double new Caduceus, Delteros, TELLARKNIGHT CONSTELLAR Delteros, who can be made with 3+ level 4s, and prevents your opponent from targeting rank 5 or higher TELLARKNIGHT or CONSTELLAR Xyz with card effects. Once per turn can detach a material to add a TELLARKNIGHT or CONSTELLAR from your deck to your hand, then can normal summon a light monster if sent to the graveyard except from the field, can special summon a TELLARKNIGHT or CONSTELLAR monster from your hand or banishment. We've got a Masquerade, a Vimana, a Pleiades, a CONSTELLAR Diamond, which still does a lot of work against dark decks, CONSTELLAR Tolme M7, and X-TELLARKNIGHT CONSTELLAR Tolme Omega 7, which can be made with 3 level 7s, or Xyz summoned by using a TELLARKNIGHT or CONSTELLAR Xyz monster as material. While you have 7 or more TELLARKNIGHT monsters with different names in your graveyard or banishment, it gains 27. Also, it's unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, and once per turn, as a quick, you can detach any number of materials from this card, target that many monsters your opponent controls, and shuffle them back into the deck. In the side, we've got 3 copies of Santa Claus, 2 Droll and Lockbird, 2 Lightning Storm, a Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Illusion Gate, the 3rd Forbidden Crown, 2 Stellar Nova Alpha, and 2 Solemn Report. So with that, let's hop into some games. Our first match is up against Branded, but completely honestly, it could be up against anything. We're going first, and we have access to the combo, and though our opponent has a Fubulos, you can bet your bottom dollar we are just going to try and push through it. We're going to begin with a copy of 7th Tachyon. We are going to grab a copy of Caster to hand, then normal summon it. We'll activate the effect to which our opponent will chain a Fubulos and summon out a copy of Singian as well. We'll activate the effect of the Singian and grab ourselves a copy of Caduceus, we'll summon it to our side of the field, then activate the effect in order to grab a copy of Constellar TELLARKNIGHTS. We'll go for Dodo Warrior, sending an Onomatakage who can then bring itself back from the graveyard before we overlay for a Tellarknight Constellar Caduceus. We'll go from that into M7, go for Constellar TELLARKNIGHTS, then activate that effect targeting the M7 to go into a Tolmaeus. They'll draw a card, we'll activate Tolmaeus, that's 7, and then afterwards we can just pass turn. We get the turn afterwards and get to attach as well to the Tolmaeus. We'll draw for turn, it's a Ghost Ogre, but we don't need anything. The Constellar TELLARKNIGHTS is enough because we can go into the Constellar Tolmaeus M7, use the other one to go get a caster, and then grab a Syngian as well. We'll just go through the combo here, grabbing a copy of Lyrian on our way to Tellarknight Constellar Delteros, which will grab us on a Knuckle Eye, which we can normal summon, activating the effect of the Lyrian as well to get it to our side of the field. We'll send an Altair, then activate the effect of the Lyrian before we go to battle and hit for 12, 18, 25, and 27. Well over lethal. Good luck with those super polys. So that's how the deck performs on the play, but what does it do on the draw? Well, the Tellarknights are pretty good at breaking boards, but the deck does have some pretty obvious weaknesses. Our opponent for this game is on Azamina, and they're going to begin with a Wanted in draw phase. They'll follow it up with a Diabell Star, activate the effect of the Diabell Star to grab a copy of Deception, then fire the Deception using its effect in order to pop the Diabell Star and grab a copy of the Hallowed Azamina. They'll fire that off in order to get a copy of Murcielago, then activate its effect in order to grab Vengeance. Hallowed Azamina targeting the Murcielago will put it back in hand, and then activating it again will enable them to get to Saint Azamina. Its effect will trigger for a copy of Illusylvia before we go for the Vengeance on our side of the field, setting one and activating Deception at end step. This is not an unbreakable board, but it's kind of irritating. We'll begin with a copy of PBS. They will chain Illusylvia. We'll activate PBS to give it to our opponent and proceed to the main phase. We'll go for Dodo Warrior here, sending a copy of Onomatakage to the graveyard. We'll use its effect to bring it to our side of the field before overlaying for Exciton Knight, who is on. Our opponent will chain Super Polymerization to go into a Mud Dragon, and then afterwards we're going to go for a caster. They will Black Goat Laughs in order to name our usual target, so we'll be forced to go for Lyrian. We'll do that to get a copy of Constellar TELLARKNIGHTS, then we'll activate Tachyon, revealing from our extra deck in order to grab a copy of Skadoosh. We'll activate its effect to bring it to our side of the field, then activate its effect on field in order to get another copy of Constellar TELLARKNIGHTS. We're going to go for Nuke Caduceus, activate its effect, and bring out a copy of Altarian before going Constellar TELLARKNIGHTS and singling out a Lyrian. We'll make Utopic Future and Utopic Draco Future before making a Tellarknight Constellar Delteros, which gets us a copy of Altair. We can normal summon and activate the effect of to bring back the Altarian and make another Caduceus. We will activate that effect, cycle back the Caduceus, make an M7, trigger the effect of the Constellar TELLARKNIGHTS, and make Tolmaeus before ending our turn. Our opponent will draw for a turn. They're going to go for the Hallowed Azamina, shuffling back to add it back to the hand, then Diabell Star Vengeance, to which we will chain Utopic Draco Future. After that, they'll activate Curse of Diabell in order to grab Ophilia Diabell, whose effect will activate in order to special summon out of Diabell's the Black Witch. That effect will resolve, sending a copy of Wanted, which enables our opponent to draw a card. It's not a good one, so they will end turn. We will equip it end step, and we'll activate the effect of the Tellarknight Tolmaeus to rank up into a Tellarknight Constellar Diamond, bringing back the Altarian in response and bouncing the board. We'll draw for turn, and this is lethal, so we'll just proceed to the battle phase and get in for 17, 27, 25, and 3. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing what else but Cool Tune, and this is kind of a bad hand for them. It's a lot of normals, double Q, double Rico. They can still make it work by going Trackmaker and Rotary. They'll trigger the effect of the Trackmaker and Rotary, looking at our hand and seeing the shields are down. They'll grab both a JJ and a KTS. They'll go JJ effect, extra normal. For a Rico, activate the Rico effect for a copy of Clip, and then from here, cycle for a Mix, whose effect will trigger as well. From here, our opponent can grab back the Rico, make a Remix, trigger the effect of the Q, look at the top of our deck, banish one of our monsters, and keep that copy of Sakitama on top before handing it to us. We will go for the Dodo Warrior, sending an Onomatakage. We'll activate that effect into a Ghost Bell, which is pretty good. Afterwards, we will go 7th Tachyon. We will reveal and add from deck to hand a caster. We will caster here using Lyrian as CL2 as they go for Remix in order to summon back the Mix and go into RS, which means at point of resolution, we've got a lot of chain to resolve. We'll go for Signian and Liran. They will go for Mix targeting Dodo Warrior, and they'll try to negate with this RS as well. That means that all we're resolving here is the Signian, and then we'll activate the Caduceus in hand. Caduceus triggers on field, which grabs us a copy of Constellar TELLARKNIGHT, and then afterwards we're going to overlight for Constellar Diamond. That's right. It is actually exceptionally easy to continue to play under the RS lock. We'll go for Pleiades. They will chain the effect of their Clip, which means they get to banish from our extra deck and go into a Loudness War, but we have used our Constellar Diamond to set up the perfect Ptolemy M7, which means in main phase 2 we can go for the Omega. We'll activate that effect. They'll activate Loudness War, and of course afterwards we will just trade. We'll go Sakitama afterwards in order to normal summon it, then Constellar TELLARKNIGHTS, bring back the Signian so we can end on a Caduceus. Caduceus here will trigger. We'll get a couple of cards back, then activate its effect in order to cycle and special summon a copy of Signian from deck before activating the Onomatakage in order to shuffle a bunch of monsters back, and once again going for the Constellar here. We'll go for the Constellar Tellarknights into the Tellarknight Constellar Delteros, grab another monster, then normal the Knuckle-Eye, which allows us to send from deck to graveyard an Altarian. Finally, we'll make Tolmaeus, use the effect of the Altarian to bring it to our side of the field, get rid of the JJ Cooltoon, and pass turn. Tolmaeus will rank up at end step, one more material underneath, and our opponent is forced to normal summon Q. They'll activate the effect of the Q in order to bring back Rico, then activate the effect of the Rico that is worth the Tolmaeus to me. We will rank up into a Pleiades as they grab a Rotary. We will then summon back the Altarion, activate its effect to wipe the board, and from here they can only Rotary. That Rotary normal summons itself. They can use the Ashen Hand, but not if we Pleiades their summon. They'll scoop, and we win game 1. So it's time for game 2, and okay, well, we have non-engine this time at least. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Synchro Overtake. We will Foolos, and they will chain Ash Blossom, so we are at the mercy of their hand. They will reveal for Rico, activate the effect of the Rico on field, and grab from deck to hand a copy of Rotary. They'll Rotary here, which enables them to normal summon this copy of Mix and activate its effect in order to grab a Q. Down comes Trackmaker, Rotary, 1 Q2. Now they know what they're up against, a Pear Bear Scare and a Forbidden Crown. The Sakitama is miserable, especially because after this Q resolves, they can keep us off of any of our tellers. They'll go for JJ Cooltoon here, cycling the Mix in order to grab a copy of Clip to hand before setting 3 and passing. Come on now. Ooh, Ash Blossom is not going to do it. We will go for Pear Bear Scare. That does resolve. We can Ash their Cooltoon Synchro. They can Called By, and let's just go to game 3. So it's time for that all-important game 3, and okay, all right. Well, we have a lot of going first tools. We have combo, but our opponent has not only Psyframe Gear Delta, but also Harmonia and Ghost Ogre. So let's see if it can happen. We're going to begin with a copy of Caster. We've set 2, which means we are telegraphing our Solemn, but, you know, what else can you do? We'll go Signian Effect. We'll go Lyrian Effect. That's going to grab us a copy of Skybridge, as well as a Scaduceus. We'll activate the effect of the Signian to go for a 5 on our way to Vimana, which sets up a Monster Negate before we go for the Caduceus activation. From here, we can overlay for a big Caduceus, activate its effect, Caster and Caduceus, and they will go Harmonia. That is worth the Vimana from me. We will just go ahead and negate that sucker on our way to an Altarian. We'll activate the effect of the Skybridge, targeting our Caduceus. They will go for Delta. That's fine, I think. Afterwards, we will just go ahead and fire off the Constellar Tellarknights. Back comes the Syngian. We'll go for the Tellarknight Constellar Delteros, use its effect for an Altair, whose effect can activate targeting this copy of Lyran in the yard. Altarian as well comes back on our way to Constellar Tellarknights. They will Ghost Ogre that, which allows us to go Caduceus in order to grab 2 back to the grip and overlay for a UDF. It's not the turn skip that I would have hoped, but it is not bad. Our opponent's going to draw a Rotary off the top, and down comes Rico. That's worth a Satellar Nova Alpha to me. Down goes the errant copy of our Satellar Knight card. After that is Mix off the Rotary, who will be Utopic Draco Futured. Our opponent's going to Harmonia, but that's not too big of a deal here. All it can really deal with is the Caduceus. They'll Maelong our UDF, but we'll be able to trigger the effects of our monsters in graveyard to get us follow-up as well as Caster, which means that we get back the Altarian and a Syngian. We will activate both the effect of the Altarian and the Signian to get rid of the last monster on our opponent's side of the field, and they will pass turn. Vimana is going to trigger here in order to modulate as we draw for turn and use its effect once again to get another material. From here, we can just switch it to attack position, summon out this copy of Caduceus, and go to battle phase, dealing more than lethal damage. No FTK required, but we were still able to take it. So we're back with the deck, and let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The new cards are good. The deck gets multiple free spell negates with Caster because of its material effect. Altarian can pop 3+ cards on your opponent's turn if you quick Xyz with Tolmaeus. Some builds are on Battlemaius to quick into Triver and bounce the entire board. 2. Constellar Diamond is still a great counter to dark decks, and God knows those are still around. And 3, of course, this deck punishes decks not on hand traps by simply winning the game through a turn skip. And the cons. 1. The deck has to run a fair amount of engine requirement. These are cards that just aren't great nowadays, like Caduceus and Altair. They're weaker normals that suck to draw. 2, the deck doesn't have many engine pushes. It's fairly normal summon reliant, so boards can sometimes be a big problem for it. And 3, listen, because the deck exists as a punish for breaker decks, its lines in Afua are pretty weak, and some hand trap heavy decks will really, really hit you hard. Overall, like Power Patron, the deck aims to take advantage of the current reliance of decks on maining breakers to beat Cooltoon. The difference is that this one is really punishing. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching. These 10-minute testings are made possible by, and occasionally suggested by, my patrons, some of whom have spent a lot of money to be mentioned at the end of this video. Those are Van, Unban Meowmoo, Absolutely Fran, Elena Tincher, Allison Elliott, Ally, Astagaffa Jas, APK Pearly Tier 0, Brett Henry, Cap, Cool Name, Daniel Howell, Dark Rebel XYZ, El Gravo, Emiliano Deverio, NB Adams, Erarizuku, Fabrizio Petroli, Galactic Joey, Pergalicious, Jackie Z, JP, Cole Offline, Legal Rights, Lucas Rosas, Luis Hernandez, Matthew M. Derezo, MBT Hablando en Español, MBT Plema Dolce, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nacho, Pombo, Pyramid Artisan Field Cloths TCG Accessories, Rohan Doge, Rose Lapine, Serpentax, Shifter.mp8, Sly Ninja 43, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Who's Nick, Yeth, Yoven and Nunik, Yuki Kazami, Yuki, and Zircon Sun. Couldn't have done it without you.